So now we're going to go through this question 4, which is one on this student loan repayment, which admittedly is quite tricky actually, and there's quite a lot of things that you can get wrong, but it is within the realm of the difficulty of the questions you might be asked, so you're better off just struggling with it yourself and trying to figure out all the details. So what I like to do before I start is I write out all of the dates that are relevant. So we saw before that his student loan was on the 1st of September when he got, it was 2014. But then the interest rate is changing throughout his studies. So on the 1st of September 2015, the interest rate goes up. Also, we can see that he's getting a loan payment of £5,000 every single year. So you'll have to look for these two things. One, a cash flow occurring, in this case the £5,000 being paid, and secondly the interest rate changing. And sometimes one will happen, sometimes both will happen at the same time. So beginning 1st of September 2014, then a year later the interest rate changes and he gets another £5,000. So they've kept it relatively simple to start with and made it whole years. A year later the same happens again, interest rate changes and there's another payment of £5,000. Then it starts to get a little bit more confusing. The next interest rate is actually for longer than a year, so the 1.25% will still be in place when he gets his next payment of £5,000. And then on the 1st of December, the interest rate will change to 1.5%. And then finally we need to see when he finishes his studies. It's not the 31st of August 2018, it's actually the end of June 2018. So you can see there are lots of details here that can trip you up. So that's the final date of the end of his studies. So now we're going to go and work out the interest rate, the compound interest calculations. So we start with the £5,000 that he is given, and for 1 year at 1.5% is a percentage increase multiplier of 1.015. So after 1 year he now owes £5,075. Then he gets an additional £5,000. So at the beginning of the next year he has he owes £10,075. Now the interest rate has changed to 0.09%, so this is an interest multiplier of 1.009. And if you're unsure how you get that, then you take 100, add it on to get 109%, and then divide by 100 and get 1.009. So at the end of the second year, he will owe £15,355.25. Now we get another £5,000. So he is starting the next year owing £20,355.25. The interest rate has now changed to 1.25%. So it has not changed, it is still 1.0125%. And however, this is only for 3 months. It's for month 9, month 10 and month 11. So we put it to the power of 3/12. 3/12 for 3/12 of a year. 3 months. We assume all the months are the same length, just for simplicity. So at the beginning of December he will owe £20,418.56. Now at this point we are not adding on anything because there is no cash flow. All it is a change of interest rate. So we're going into the 1st of December 2017, where the interest rate becomes 1.5%. So we're going to take our previous answer and multiply by 1.015, and this is for 7 months because it's month 12 for December, and then the 6 months from January through to the end of June, and we are counting June. So at the end, the total balance due will be £20,596.67. So you thought part A was bad? Well, part B is a nightmare, and I think it's borderline too difficult for what you might have to do in an exam. How much does James owe on his student loan on the 1st of April 2019? The first complication is he doesn't start his job until the 1st of September 2018, so there's a gap in between him finishing his university degree and him starting his job. Also, in the period between the end of his university course and when he actually makes the payment on the 31st of March 2019, there are 2 different interest rates in effect. So we are going to start with the amount that is owing on his student loan that we worked out from part A, work out how much he owes on the 31st of March 2019. Okay, so we'll take our answer from part A and accumulate it over this length of time. So £20,596.67. Now, looking at the chart of the interest rates, he owes the 1.5%, and he owes that for 2 months, which are July and August. So it's after his studies finish, and then another month, then the interest rate's changing. So it's 1.5% for 2 months, so we multiply by 1.015 to the power 2/12. Then the interest rate is changing, so it's changing to 1.75%. We're actually using this final row of the table, which we didn't need in part A. So we need to see how many months it is from September through to the end of March. So we can interest multiply 1.0175. I've worked out that's 7 months, and I always like to do months on my fingers. So September, remember, is month 9, so 9, 10, 11, 12, and then to March is 1, 2, 3, so I've got 7 months. So when we do all that, you get £20,857.86. Now, believe it or not, that is only worth 1 mark. Then you have to do work out how much he pays off on his student loan, or how much he owes. So first of all, the threshold is worked out monthly, so you get a monthly income by dividing his annual income by 12, 32,000 divided by 12. This doesn't even work out as a whole number, it's £2,666.66 recurring pence, 0.66666. You probably could get away with rounding that to 0.67. Then it's a certain percentage of his salary above the threshold. So take away the lower threshold, and it was 9% of anything above that threshold. So he owes £98.07 to pay back each month. It's over 7 months, so this is from September through to March. So we need to multiply it by 7, and that'll be the total payment for his student loan that he will pay off. So that's another mark. And finally, to finish the question, to get the final mark, you take the £686.49 away. from the £20,857.86. So that's the easy bit. And that's just finally done this question. As I said before, I think part A is the level of difficulty which is appropriate. Part B is maybe slightly difficult, although all the things in there, in theory, you should be able to do.